All right, Lexi. This one I got to keep a little bit shorter because it's already after midnight and I didn't quite have enough time to get everything done tonight. But I'm going to read just a little bit for you here. Hopefully like 5 chapters. So we're going to leave off right where we got from yesterday. Chapter 21. The birth of Isaac. The Lord took note of Sarah as he had said he would. The Lord did for her as he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time that God had stated. Abraham gave the name Isaac to his son, of his whom Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him, as God had commanded. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah then said, God has given me cause to laugh, and all who hear of it will laugh with me. Who would ever have told Abraham, she added, that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. The child grew and was weaned, and Abraham held a great banquet on the day of the child's weaning. Sarah noticed the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham playing with her son Isaac. So she demanded of Abraham, drive out that slave and her son. No son of that slave is going to share the inheritance with my son Isaac. Abraham was greatly distressed because it concerned a son of his. But God said to Abraham, do not be distressed about the boy or about your slave woman. Obey Sarah, no matter what she asks of you, for it is through Isaac that descendants will bear your name. As for the son of the slave woman, I will make a nation of him also, since he too is your offspring. Early the next morning, Abraham got some bread and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. Then, placing the child on her back, he sent her away. As she roamed aimlessly in the wilderness of Beersheba, the water in the skin was used up. So she put the child down under one of the bushes, and then went and sat down opposite him, about a bow shot away. For she said to herself, I cannot watch the child die. As she sat opposite him, she wept aloud. God heard the boy's voice, and God's angel called to Hagar from heaven. What is this matter, Hagar? Do not fear. Or what is the matter, Hagar? Do not fear. God has heard the boy's voice in this plight of his. Get up, lift up the boy, and hold him by the hand, for I will make of him a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. She went and filled the skin with water, and then let the boy drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the wilderness and became an expert bowman. He lived in the wilderness of Paran. His mother got a wife for him from the land of Egypt. This is the story of the covenant at Beersheba. At that time, Abimelech, accompanied by Phicol, the commander of his army, said to Abraham, God is with you in everything that you do. So now, swear to me by God at this place that you will not deal falsely with me or with my progeny and posterity, but will act as loyally toward me and the land in which you reside as I have acted toward you. Abraham replied, I so swear. Abraham, however, reproached Abimelech about a well that Abimelech's servants had seized by force. I have no idea who did that, Abimelech replied. In fact, you never told me about it, nor did I ever hear of it until now. Then Abraham took sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two made a covenant. Abraham also set apart 7 ewe lambs of the flock, and Abimelech asked him, What is the purpose of these 7 ewe lambs that you have set apart? Abraham answered, The 7 ewe lambs you shall accept from me, that you may be my witness that I dug this well. This is why the place is called Beersheba. The two of them took an oath there. When they had thus made the covenant in Beersheba, Abimelech, along with Phicol, the commander of his army, left to return to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk at Beersheba, and there he invoked by name the Lord, God the Eternal. Abraham resided in the land of the Philistines for a long time. That's the end of chapter 21. Chapter 22, the testing of Abraham. Sometime afterward, God put Abraham to the test and said to him, Abraham, here I am, he replied. Then God said, take your son Isaac, your only one, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah. There, offer him up as a burnt offering on one of the heights that I will point out to you. Early the next morning, Abraham saddled his donkey, took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac, and after cutting the wood for the burnt offering, set out for the place of which God had told him. On the third day, Abraham caught sight of the place from a distance. Abraham said to his servants, "Stay here with the donkey, while the boy and I go on over there. We will worship and then come back to you." So Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and laid it on his son Isaac, while he himself carried the fire and the knife. As the two walked on together, Isaac spoke to his father Abraham. "Father," he said. "Here I am," he replied. Isaac continued, "Here are the fire and the wood, but where is the sheep for the burnt offering?" "My son," Abraham answered, "God will provide the sheep for the burnt offering." Then the two walked on together. When they came to the place of which God had told him, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. Next, he bound his son Isaac and put him on top of the wood on the altar. Then Abraham reached out and took the knife to slaughter his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." "Here I am," he answered. "Do not lay your hand on the boy," said the angel. "Do not do the least thing to him, for now I know that you fear God, since you did not withhold from me your son, your only one." Abraham looked up and saw a single ram caught by its horns in the thicket. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering in place of his son. Abraham named that place Yahweh Yireh. Hence, people today say, "On the mountain, the Lord will provide." A second time, the angel of the Lord called to Abraham from heaven and said, "I swear by my very self, oracle of the Lord, that because you acted as you did in not withholding from me your son, your only one, I will bless you and make your descendants as countless as the stars of the sky and the sands of the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the gates of their enemies, and in your descendants all the nations of the earth will find blessing, because you obeyed my command." Abraham returned to his servants, and they set out together for Beersheba, where Abraham lived. This is Nahor's descendants. Sometime afterward, the news came to Abraham, "Milcah too has borne sons to your brother Nahor. Uz, his firstborn, his brother Buz, Kemuel, the father of Aram, Chesed, Hazor, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel. Bethuel became the father of Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Reumah, also bore him children, Teba, Gaham, Tehash, and Makkah. That's the end of 22. Get some water. All right. Chapter 23. Purchase of a burial plot. The span of Sarah's life was 127 years. She died in Kiriath Arba, now Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham proceeded to mourn and weep for her. Then he left the side of his deceased wife and addressed the Hittites. "Although I am a resident alien among you, sell me from your holdings a burial place, that I may bury my deceased wife." The Hittites answered Abraham, "Please, sir, listen to us. You are a mighty leader among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial sites. None of us would deny you his burial ground for the burial of your dead." Abraham, however, proceeded to bow low before the people of the land of the Hittites, and said to them, "If you will allow me room for burial of my dead, listen to me. Intercede for me with Ephron, son of Zohar, so that he will sell me the cave of Machpelah that he owns. It is at the edge of his field. Let him sell it to me in your presence at its full price for a burial place." Excuse me. Now Ephron was sitting with the Hittites. So Ephron the Hittite replied to Abraham in the hearing of the Hittites. Jeez, I'm burping a bunch from that Denny's we had earlier. "All who entered the gate of his city. Please, sir." Oh wait, sorry. I'm gonna reread that. Now Ephron was sitting with the Hittites. So Ephron the Hittite replied to Abraham in the hearing of the Hittites. "All who entered the gate of his city. Please, sir, listen to me. I give you both the field and the cave in it. In the presence of my people, I give it to you. Bury your dead." But Abraham, after bowing low before the people of the land, addressed Ephron in the hearing of these men. "If only you would please listen to me. I will pay you the price of the field. Accept it from me, that I may bury my dead there. Ephron replied to Abraham, Please, sir, listen to me. A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver? What is that between you and me? Bury your dead. Abraham accepted Ephron's terms. He weighed out to him the silver that Ephron had stipulated in the hearing of the Hittites, 400 shekels of silver at the current market value. Thus Ephron's field in Machpelah, facing Mamre, together with its cave and all the trees anywhere within its limits, was conveyed to Abraham by purchase in the presence of the Hittites, all who entered the gate of Ephron's city. After this, Abraham buried his wife Sarah in the cave of the field of Machpelah, facing Mamre, now Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Thus, the field with its cave was transferred from the Hittites to Abraham as a burial place. End of chapter 23. On to chapter 24. Isaac and Rebekah. Abraham was old, having seen many days, and the Lord had blessed him in every way. Abraham said to the senior servant of his household, who had charge of all of his possessions, Put your hand under my thigh, and I will make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I live, but that you will go to my own land and to my relatives to get a wife for my son Isaac. The servant asked him, What if the woman is unwilling to follow me to this land? Should I then take your son back to the land from which you came? Abraham told him, Never take my son back there for any reason. The Lord, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house in the land of my relatives, and who confirmed by oath the promise he made to me, I will give this land to your descendants. He will send his angel before you, and you will get a wife for my son there. If the woman is unwilling to follow you, you will be released from this oath to me, but never take my son back there. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of his master Abraham and swore to him concerning this matter. The servant then took 10 of his master's camels, and bearing all kinds of gifts from his master, he made his way to the city of Nahor in Aram Naharaim. Near evening, at the time when women go out to draw water, he made the camels kneel by the well outside the city. Then he said, Lord, God of my master Abraham, let it turn out favorably for me, and thus deal graciously with my master Abraham. While I stand here at the spring, and the daughters of the townspeople are coming out to draw water, if I say to a young woman, Please, lower your jug that I may drink, and she answers, Drink, and I will water your camels too, then she is the one whom you have decided upon for your servant Isaac. In this way, I will know that you have dealt graciously with my master. Ooh. I went back a page by accident. Here we go. He had scarcely finished speaking when Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Abraham's brother Nahor, came out with a jug on her shoulder. The young woman was very beautiful, a virgin, untouched by man. She went down to the spring and filled her jug. As she came up, the servant ran toward her and said, Please, give me a sip of water from your jug. Drink, sir, she replied, and quickly lowering the jug into her hand, she gave him a drink. When she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I will draw water for your camels too, until they have finished drinking. With that, she quickly emptied her jug into the drinking trough, and ran back to the well to draw more water, until she had drawn enough for all the camels. The man watched her the whole time, silently waiting to learn whether or not the Lord had made his journey successful. When the camels had finished drinking, the man took out a gold nose ring weighing half a shekel, and 2 gold bracelets weighing 10 shekels for her wrists. Then he asked her, Whose daughter are you? Tell me, please, and is there a place in your father's house for us to spend the night? She answered, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor. We have plenty of straw and fodder, she added, and also a place to spend the night. The man then knelt and bowed down to the Lord, saying, Blessed be the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not let his kindness and fidelity toward my master fail. As for me, the Lord has led me straight to the house of my master's brother. Then the young woman ran off and told her mother's household what had happened. Now Rebekah had a brother named Laban. Laban rushed outside to the man at the spring. When he saw the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's arms, and when he heard Rebekah repeating what the man had said to her, he went to him while he was standing by the camels at the spring. He said, Come, blessed of the Lord. Why are you standing outside when I have made the house ready? as well as a place for the camels. The man then went inside, and while the camels were being unloaded and provided with straw and fodder, water was brought to bathe his feet and the feet of the men who were with him. But when food was set before him, he said, "I will not eat until I have told my story." "Go ahead," they replied. "I am Abraham's servant," he began. "The Lord has blessed my master so abundantly that he has become wealthy. He has given him flocks and herds, silver and gold, male and female servants, and camels and donkeys. My master's wife Sarah bore a son to my master in her old age, and he has given him everything he owns. My master put me under oath, saying, 'You shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I live. Instead, you must go to my father's house, to my own family, to get a wife for my son.' When I asked my master, 'What if the woman will not follow me?' he replied, 'The Lord, in whose presence I have always walked, will send his angel with you and make your journey successful, and so you will get a wife for my son from my own family and my father's house. Then you will be freed from my curse. If you go to my family and they refuse you, then too you will be free from my curse.' When I came to the spring today, I said, 'Lord, God of my master Abraham, please make successful the journey I am on. Will I stand here at the spring if I say to a young woman who comes out to draw water, "Please give me a little water from your jug," and she answers, "Drink, and I will draw water for your camels too"? Then she is the woman whom the Lord has decided upon for my master's son." I had scarcely finished saying this to myself when Rebekah came out with a jug on her shoulder. After she went down to the spring and drew water, I said to her, "Please, let me have a drink." She quickly lowered the jug she was carrying and said, "Drink, and I will water your camels too." So I drank, and she watered the camels also. When I asked her, "Whose daughter are you?" she answered, "The daughter of Bethuel, son of Nahor, born to Nahor by Milcah." So I put the ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrists. Then I knelt and bowed down to the Lord, blessing the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who had led me on the right road to obtain the daughter of my master's kinsman for his son. Now, if you will act with kindness and fidelity towards my master, let me know. But if not, let me know that too. I can then proceed accordingly." Laban and Bethuel said in reply, "This thing comes from the Lord. We can say nothing to you either for or against it. Here is Rebekah, right in front of you. Take her and go, that she may become the wife of your master's son, as the Lord has said." When Abraham's servant heard their answer, he bowed to the ground before the Lord. Then he brought out objects of silver and gold and clothing and presented them to Rebekah. He also gave costly presents to her brother and mother. After he and the men with him had eaten and drunk, they spent the night there. When they got up the next morning, he said, "Allow me to return to my master." Her brother and mother replied, "Let the young woman stay with us a short while, say 10 days. After that she may go." But he said to them, "Do not detain me, now that the Lord has made my journey successful. Let me go back to my master." They answered, "Let us call the young woman and see what she herself has to say about it." So they called Rebekah and asked her, "Will you go with this man?" She answered, "I will." At this, they sent off their sister Rebekah and her nurse with Abraham's servant and his men. They blessed Rebekah and said, "Sister, may you grow into thousands of myriads, and may your descendants gain possession of the gates of their enemies." Then Rebekah and her attendants started out. They mounted the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Rebekah and went on his way. Meanwhile, Isaac had gone from Bir Halayroth and was living in the region of the Negev. One day toward evening, he went out to walk in the field and caught sight of camels approaching. Rebekah too caught sight of Isaac and got down from her camel. She asked the servant, "Who is that man over there, walking through the fields toward us?" "That is my master," replied the servant. Then she took her veil and covered herself. The servant recounted to Isaac all the things he had done. Then Isaac brought Rebekah into the tent of his mother Sarah. He took Rebekah as his wife. Isaac loved her and found solace after the death of his mother. And that's the end of chapter 24. That one was a little longer. Chapter 25. Abraham's sons by Keturah. Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah. She bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan became the father of Sheba and Dedan. The descendants of Dedan were the Asherim, the Letushim, and the Lemimim, or Lumim. The descendants of Midian were Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and Eldah. All of these were descendants of Keturah. Abraham gave everything that he owned to his son Isaac. To the sons of his concubines, however, he gave gifts while he was still living, as he sent them away eastward to the land of Kedem, away from his son Isaac. The death of Abraham. The whole span of Abraham's life was 175 years. Then he breathed his last, dying at a ripe old age, grown old after a full life, and was gathered to his people. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron, son of Zohar the Hittite, which faces Mamre, the field that Abraham had bought from the Hittites. There he was buried next to his wife Sarah. After the death of Abraham, God blessed his son Isaac, who lived near Beer Lahairoi. Descendants of Ishmael. These are the descendants of Abraham's son Ishmael, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's slave, bore to Abraham. These are the names of Ishmael's sons, listed in the order of their birth. Ishmael's firstborn, Nebaioth, Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jether, Naphish, and Kedema. These are the sons of Ishmael, their names by their villages and encampments, 12 chieftains of as many tribal groups. The span of Ishmael's life was 137 years. After he had breathed his last and died, he was gathered to his people. The Ishmaelites ranged from Havilah by Shur, which is on the border of Egypt, all the way to Asher, and they pitched camp alongside their various kindred. The birth of Esau and Jacob. These are the descendants of Isaac, son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean of Paddan Aram, and the sister of Laban the Aramean. Isaac entreated the Lord on behalf of his wife, since she was sterile. The Lord heard his entreaty, and his wife Rebekah became pregnant. But the children jostled each other in the womb so much that she exclaimed, "If it is like this, why go on living?" She went to consult the Lord, and the Lord answered her, "Two nations are in your womb. Two peoples are separating while still within you, but one will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger." When the time of her delivery came, there were twins in her womb. The first to emerge was reddish, and his whole body was like a hairy mantle, so they named him Esau. Next his brother came out, gripping Esau's heel, so he was named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when they were born. When the boys grew up, Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the open country, where Jacob was a simple man who stayed among the tents. Isaac preferred Esau because he was fond of game, but Rebekah preferred Jacob. Once, when Jacob was cooking a stew, Esau came in from the open country, famished. He said to Jacob, "Let me gulp down some of that Reb stuff. I am famished." That is why he was called Edom. But Jacob replied, "First, sell me your right as firstborn." "Look," said Esau, "I am on the point of dying. What good is the right of firstborn to me?" But Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he sold Jacob his right as firstborn under oath. Jacob then gave him some bread and the lentil stew, and Esau ate, drank, got up, and went his way. So Esau treated his right as firstborn with disdain. Okay, that is the end of chapter 25. I'm going to stop there for tonight because it's already 12:30 in the morning and I got to be up in 7 hours and I still got to get ready for bed. But I love you, Lexi. I hope you like this one too. I will hopefully do more tomorrow.